This is 101.1 WJRR, Orlando's rock station. Thanks for checking out the Lynch and Taco Show. This morning, it is time for Tech It Out, the latest tech and science news to share with you. Before we get into that, reminder, voting is open now on the JR Facebook page for this morning's You Say It, We Play It. 3 Days Grace, the featured artist, and 3 songs there to choose from. You decide. The one with the most votes will play back at 9 o'clock. And then from all of you who vote, you're automatically qualified to win Metallica tickets this morning.
Pretty good incentive there, so go get your vote in for which 3 Days Grace tune you want to hear. JR Facebook page.
You have until 9 o'clock to vote, and please just vote once. Okay, well, the streaming service known as Max and previously known as HBO Max will once again be known as HBO Max.
Does this have anything to do with pricing? Because if it changes...
No.
I finally got the bundle with, 3, then I got it down to where I was saving $20 by getting more, which is wild.
I've got to the point where I don't even know if my amalgamation or my collection of different streaming services is the most financially beneficial. It's probably not. And to try to undo it and then redo it, it's
not worth the hassle.
So Max found out that when you go and you change the name of something and your customers still call it by the old name, you're kind of cutting yourself off at the pass. Everybody, it's HBO or HBO Max. Nobody just said Max. So they finally figured that out. They'll be changing it all back to HBO Max for the streaming service there.
Wise decision. Didn't a soda company do that? They made a massive change, and it's similar to the rebranding of when they had New Coke. Yeah, that was it.
That was just a misstep in every direction with that one.
Yeah.
Which didn't last that. Probably one of the most infamous rebrandings that just and reformulations that fell flat.
That's why it stuck out. That's why it's stuck in my head.
In other streaming news, ESPN new standalone streaming app will cost sports fans about $30 a month. The new service from the Sports Cable Network will launch this fall. It'll include all of the network's programming, as well as other ESPN channels, including ESPN2, the SEC network, and ESPN on ABC. Here we go with the bundles. There'll be a bundle available that includes ad-supported tiers of Disney Plus and Hulu that will cost $36 per month. The service is different from ESPN's current streaming platform, ESPN Plus. This new ESPN standalone app is for somebody who... hardcore sports fan, but doesn't want to pay for a full-blown streaming service or cable or satellite. All I watch is sports. Okay, well, you get all your ESPN sports now, everything that's on all their channels through the new standalone app if you want to pay $30 for that. That doesn't help you with sports that are on other networks outside of ESPN, but, to each his own as to what works for you.
That's the thing we were talking to Mike Bianchi about, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Microsoft announcing layoffs of at least 6,000 employees.
Oh, man.
But listen, I always love these corporate statements that come out after layoffs. We continue to implement organizational changes necessary to best position the company for success in a dynamic marketplace.
Mm-hmm. And chances are we'll go ahead and hire him back at part-time. That's a move right there,
That's about 3% of their worldwide workforce. So.
You know the move I'm talking about?
What's that? Oh, when they chop your full-time benefits and then they bring you back in.
Hey, you want to come back?
Yeah. Yeah, it's all about paying for those benefits.
I see what you did there.
Apple is getting into the brain chip implant game. There's reports that say by the end of this year, a new tech offering from Apple could make its devices increasingly accessible to all types of people with disabilities and impairments. Apple has partnered with Synchron, a company that makes a stent-like device that's implanted in a vein at the brain's motor cortex. This implant is said to make it possible for people to control their iPhone, iPad, or Apple Vision Pro with mind control. Mm-hmm. According to Synchron, controlled trials will begin later this year, but they already have this up and running in one person who's using it successfully. Interesting.
I think, normally when I just hear brain chip, I'm out. But if it can help somebody who's deaf hear, if it can help somebody, that's pretty cool.
Speaking of Apple, they are turning certain pop songs into lo-fi beats for relaxing, sleeping, and focusing. They just rolled this out in its new Sound Therapy collection on Apple Music. In a partnership with Universal Music Group, they've transformed hits from some of the big-name pop stars into extended lo-fi tracks designed to help listeners relax, focus, or sleep with brain-friendly sound enhancements like gamma waves and pink noise. These mellow remixes aim to calm your mind whether you're grinding through work or drifting off for the night.
You got to have a break from the phone. Don't use it for sleeping, too.
Well,
you got a ceiling fan for that.
Inventwood, a company in Maryland, is set to start making a special kind of wood called superwood that's stronger than steel. Now, starting this summer, the new 90,000 square foot factory in Frederick, Maryland, will produce this material, which is 50% stronger than steel and has a strength to weight ratio 10 times better than that of steel. The wood is made by taking out some of the tree's natural parts and pressing what's left to make it super tough yet lightweight. It's also waterproof, resists fire better than regular wood. The Inventwood says superwood can be used for things like building homes, making cars, or even airplane parts, and it's better for the environment than steel or concrete. They've raised $15 million to get the factory going and plan to sell the wood for about $5 per square foot.
Okay, I don't know the average cost, but I'm just waiting for all the Neanderthals and knuckle draggers to be sending in texts
about superwood.
Superwood, you know it's coming.
Sure. 3,
Heard that
2.
last night at Rachel's.
In other innovations, researchers at UCLA close to solving baldness. They appear to be getting close to the a hair revolution. They say they found a molecule, the PP405 to be exact, that appears to wake up sleeping hair follicles and tells them, do your job. What's more, around a week later, the job is underway and actual hair is said to be the result. Not just fuzz, but thick terminal strands as the molecule blocks a protein that keeps follicles asleep.
Eric Estrada hair.
Google Ventures is backing the UCLA team doing the research. And $16 million has already been raised to see the research through. The product is currently in phase 2 of trials, not yet approved by the FDA, and more study is needed to determine its long-term safety. But it's possible that if approved, the product could be available as early 2027. And then finally, in some other health-related news, you see these ads all over the place for the shots to lose weight.
Yeah.
Right? Of course, you've got your big name brands with Ozempic and Wegovy and whatnot, and Zepbound. All these offshoots have been offering less pricey compounded versions of those name brands.
Good.
Those compounded versions can no longer be offered. So why? Because they were allowed to be offered when there was a supply shortage of the name brand ones. Okay, so the compound ones were then permitted. All these telehealth companies popped up and started offering them. They aren't going to be able to do that anymore.
Because there's more supply out there.
So what are they doing? They're now going to be, know this, if you're going to go this route with one of these telehealth, they are probably going to start offering you something called liraglutide, which is an older GLP-1 medication, which you have to inject daily instead of weekly. It's also not as effective as those name brand ones, and there's potential more serious side effects than going with the name brand stuff. Now, you'll still be able to get this stuff at a significant lower rate than if you go with that name brand stuff, but just know what's going on here with this, and that's why.
You know how expensive that Ozempic and stuff is?
Well, if your insurance doesn't cover it, it's over $1,000.
Exactly.
So it's and speaking of the name brand stuff, they did their first head-to-head test of the two most popular weight loss drugs. New study suggests as it compares the results of tirzepatide, known as Mounjaro and Zepbound, versus those using semaglutides, known as Ozempic and Wegovy. The Mounjaro and Zepbound are the clear winners when it comes to weight loss. in patients over a 72-week period, translating into about a 20% of total body weight loss as compared to about 14% with the Ozempic and Wegovy. So if you're trying to make a choice between those, if you do have the insurance or the money to afford that stuff, that's something to consider there, depending on what your end goal may be.
And as predicted, I guess the chip in my head that I have predicted it, all the Superwood jokes are in.
Right, yes. You guys and your Superwood.
Too easy to predict.
You're all studs. We know.
Lynch and Taco. On demand. Download the iHeartRadio app.
All right.